Adrian hasn't touched me in the 3 years we've been married. Tonight, I decided to end it. I slipped into a sheer lace nightgown, dabbed faint marks along my collarbone, and snapped a photo from an angle that would look like his own perspective. The kind of image that would make any husband's blood run cold. Then, using an untraceable number, I sent the picture along with a single line. She smells divine. Why don't you divorce her and let me have her? I imagine his face twisting with revulsion. Finally, he tossed me aside, the stand-in sister he never wanted. Natalie, his true love and my older sister, was somewhere in Europe celebrating her anniversary. A few days ago, she had asked what gift I wanted from her trip. I told her, just an international calling card. She didn't ask why. Now, standing alone in a hotel room, I clutched that card, steadying my breath. I'd staged the scene with care. Kiss marks blooming along my skin, a torn strap dangling as though ripped in a rush of passion. My lipstick smeared like the aftermath of a stolen kiss. The sheets beside me rumpled, as if a phantom lover had just left. The timer on my phone blinked down 3, 2, 1. The camera caught me with my eyes closed, lips parted slightly, hair spilling across the pillow. I looked like someone who had just drifted off after a feverish night. For a moment, I stared at the image, thinking of Adrian's public image, the smiling predator in tailored suits, a man who never lost in business. To the world, he was charming. To me, he was cold marble. His warmth belonged entirely to Natalie. Even so, no man could stomach being made a fool of. He would react. And with luck, he'd be so disgusted he'd sign the divorce papers without hesitation. I pressed send. Seconds later, his reply appeared. Adrian, who are you? I took my time changing back into my regular clothes, imagining him reading the message, the control he prized so much cracking around the edges. 2 more messages came. Adrian, don't use such poor AI face swapping. Tell me what you want. Adrian, if you confess now, I might let you off easy. I smiled at the screen. Why not ask your wife if it's fake? The marks on her neck aren't going anywhere anytime soon. I thought I was safe. Adrian was abroad, locked in negotiations. He wouldn't return for weeks. Then my real phone rang. His name lit up the screen. It rang. Stopped. Rang again. My pulse hammered in my ears. I typed quickly. Stop calling. We did it 5 times. She's sleeping. Silence. Then I sent one final message from the burner. I'm not trying to come between you. We love each other. Be generous, divorce her. If word spreads that she cheated, your spotless image might not survive. No answer came. I tossed the torn nightgown into the bin, checked out, and went home. The mansion was calm, the staff going about their chores as if the world hadn't shifted overnight. I washed up and tried to sleep. But just before dawn, an engine roared outside, tires screeching against the drive. My eyes snapped open. A sharp knock echoed at my door. Arya, open the door. His voice was low, steady, but beneath it, a barely caged fury. I froze. He wasn't supposed to be back. Another 3 deliberate knocks. Arya, I want to see you. I forced my voice to sound groggy. Mr. Shaw, I need the bathroom and a shower. Wait a moment. In the bathroom, steam began to fill the air. I stared at the angry red marks on my neck. Yesterday, I'd made them with the edge of a bottle cap. Too deep. Too real. Even makeup would struggle to hide them. Yet I had no choice but to try. Anyone caught cheating would naturally deny it first. That was the role I needed to play, and Adrian was sharp enough to catch the smallest slip. If I wanted my act to hold, every detail had to be perfect. I dampened my hair so it looked freshly washed, then slipped into a black high-neck dress that covered my arms and throat. A small band-aid concealed the edge of one kiss mark, peeking above the collar. In the mirror, I practiced an expression, half calm, half uneasy, as if guilt was just barely hidden under forced composure. It was pathetic enough to make any man recoil. Surely Adrian would be disgusted enough to send me packing. When I opened the bedroom door, he was there. Adrian sat on the sofa with his eyes closed, brows drawn, his skin pale beneath the faint shadow of stubble. No watch, no cufflinks. His phone was clenched tightly in one hand, the other draped on the armrest. Across his knuckles were 4 deep, angry gashes, like he had struck something over and over. No bandage. No concern for the injury at all. Mr. Shaw, why are you back? His eyes opened slowly, the dark gaze unreadable. He rose, moving toward me with a pace that was deliberate, measured. I stepped back on instinct, but his hand caught my arm, pulling me closer. His gaze fell to my throat. His pupils narrowed. Did something happen? I asked with a forced smile. He didn't answer. His cold fingers hovered near the Band-Aid, and for a heartbeat, I thought he might tear it away along with my cover, rip up our sham marriage contract, and throw me out in humiliation. Instead, his fingertips brushed the Band-Aid lightly. How did you get this? His voice was low, calm. A paper cut from a book page yesterday, I said without meeting his eyes. Book page. His blink was slow, assessing. And last night, I went for a hair treatment, I replied, the lie catching slightly in my throat. His breathing grew heavier. His fingers trailed along my collar, testing the boundary between fabric and skin. One tug, and he'd see everything I had hidden. I stepped back, pressing my hands to his chest. His other hand slid around my lower back like a steel band, tightening until it was hard to breathe. Mr. Shaw, don't, my voice trembled. I didn't know what he planned, only that danger rolled off him in waves. Words tumbled out, pleas half-formed and panicked. Then just as suddenly he let go. His fist closed at his side, his jaw locked, lips pressed thin. I'll assign you 2 personal bodyguards, he said evenly. They'll accompany you whenever you leave the house. Without another glance, he turned and left. The growl of his engine outside told me he was gone. I lay there stunned. He wasn't chasing the matter? Why? Later, when the constant monitoring around me eased, I grabbed the burner phone again. Man, you can't take this like a man? If she cheated, divorce her. Why lock her up? The reply was instant. She didn't cheat. I trust her. Arya wouldn't do something like that. I froze. What was that supposed to mean? True, I hadn't been with anyone else. My courage had failed me there. But how could he be so sure? He had been nothing but distant. I decided to push harder. You don't know her the way I do. She has 3 little moles, one on her ribs, one near her navel, and I made the words crude, claiming I traced them with my fingers until she trembled uncontrollably. But you're her husband of 3 years. You must have known that, right? The sarcasm was deliberate because in all that time, Adrian had never touched me. A loud crash erupted upstairs, making me jump. Then another. And another. It was coming from his study. By the time his footsteps reached the stairs, my pulse was frantic. He told the housekeeper to arrange a replacement for the computer, his voice controlled but frayed at the edges. Then his steps approached my room. I dove under the blankets, pretending to sleep. The lock on my door had mysteriously stopped working since his return. The handle turned softly. He didn't speak. In the stillness, I could hear his breathing, heavy, uneven, as if he was fighting something inside himself. My own heartbeat thundered in my ears. He came closer, but he didn't shake me awake, didn't demand the truth, didn't lay a hand on me. He didn't speak, didn't touch me, just stood there beside the bed. Even with my eyes closed, I could feel at his gaze, sharp and heated, fixed somewhere low on my abdomen. It was the kind of stare that carried a question, a hesitation, as if he was weighing whether to check. Don't flinch. Breathe evenly. Stay in character. I didn't move. Then the mattress dipped under his weight. Adrian lay down beside me, moving slowly, but that relentless stare never left. No pain, no reward. Time to feed the fire. As though drifting in a pleasant dream, I turned toward him, curling into his chest. He stilled. The searing intensity in his eyes dimmed, replaced by something softer. Honey, I murmured, as if calling out to someone I loved. Adrian froze. Slipping my arms around him, I whispered in my sweetest voice, Honey, hold me. I'd never called him that before. He'd know I meant someone else. I waited for the explosion, shouted accusations, maybe even a rough shake to wake me up. Instead, he stared down at me, his grip on my arms trembling with suppressed rage. But when I gave a faint whimper, he eased his hold. His hand cradled the back of my head, drawing me closer. He pressed a kiss into my hair, his palm sliding in a slow, awkwardly gentle motion down my spine. His voice was quiet, almost a murmur. Honey's holding you. I went still. This wasn't rational. This was something else, obsession twisted into denial. Adrian was too intelligent not to have pieced the whole thing together from the first message. Any logical man would cut ties quickly to avoid scandal. But instead, he clung to a single truth of his own making, insisting I hadn't betrayed him, as if repeating it could make it real. And now, he was taking a pet name I'd never given him and forcing it to fit. He must have thought I'd fallen deeper asleep, because he lifted the blanket without a sound. A cool fingertip brushed my ribs, tracing the spot where a tiny mole lay. The touch was feather-light, barely there, yet my body jerked and curled instinctively, a shiver racing through me before I could control it. The message I'd sent him describing this? I'd invented it. I didn't even know that spot was sensitive. But now he did. I trembled, unable to keep up the act. I wanted to turn away, to hide. He stopped, then gathered me against him with both arms, pressing me tightly to his chest. I could feel his heartbeat, wild, erratic, hammering against my ribs like it wanted to break free. His voice was low, almost a growl. You are mine. I am yours. He wasn't speaking as a man anymore, but as something primal, logic stripped away, instinct laid bare. It was possession, pure and unyielding. I felt like prey in the jaws of a predator, locked in a cage we both held the key to but neither would open. In the darkness, I opened my eyes, watching his face in the faint light. Eventually, sleep dragged me under. In the dream, it was 3 years earlier. I'd been crying, begging Adrian to let me go. His face had been cold, unreadable, until I'd shouted, I don't owe you anything. You have no right to keep me here. Only then did he speak, voice cutting and certain. You do owe me. Your sister ran away and ruined the engagement. You'll repay me for life. I won't let you go. That was the day I understood. He never chose me. I was a stand-in. 3 bitter years passed like that. When I woke, he was gone. The bed was neat, cold, as if he'd never been there at all. A new message from him waited on the burner phone. Do you have any other photos or videos of her? I blinked. What kind of creep do you think I am? I don't take that kind of thing. Is this how you manipulated her? With cheap talk? She's so young. Disgusting. That made me frown. Young? I'm 23 and nearly finished with my master's degree. And we're in love. His reply was curt. Leave her. Tell me how much you want. I shot back. Why don't you leave her, and I'll name my price. You don't deserve her love. That one stung. I considered myself exceptional, better than most, in fact. So I decided to push further. I sent him 2 pictures. One of sculpted abs from the internet, and another, more suggestive, also stolen from somewhere else. Don't worry. Your wife is well taken care of. This time, there was no sound of anything breaking upstairs. A pause. Then, from somewhere in the house, a single, cold laugh, mocking and low. Heh. Not impressed? I had no idea why he was laughing. The picture I'd sent, well, I'd never actually seen the real thing in person, but it looked big enough, right? So, what was so funny? Before I could dwell on it, a new message popped up from Adrian. One glance made my scalp prickle. You, or whoever's working for you, flew to Barcelona on the 27th of last month and bought a phone card there, didn't you? Another ping followed almost immediately. Did you really think using an unregistered card would keep me from finding you? He didn't stop. I'll track it all down, layer by layer, until I've stripped you bare. Pray you went to Barcelona yourself, because if you had it sent to you, that means I'll have an address. Better sleep with your eyes open. That last word dripped with pure mockery. I refused to flinch. Of course I'll sleep with my eyes open, I replied. Makes it easier to watch your wife. Somewhere outside my room, there was the sound of shattering porcelain. Another text. She's just using you for fun. My teeth clenched. Really? Then pay attention to how she's been acting lately. With that, I powered off my phone. Silence. Peace. Changes? What exactly changes when someone's in love? For me, it started with exercise. Every morning, 40 minutes of weights followed by 15 of cardio. It lasted exactly 2 days before the housekeeper showed up, uneasy. The gym equipment's broken, he said. That's fine, I told him. I'll just use whatever still works. They're all broken. Even the door lock's jammed. So I rolled out a yoga mat in the living room. Coincidentally, or maybe not, Adrian had been working from home a lot. That day he was on the sofa, laptop open, when he spoke without looking up. Why start working out now? It was the perfect opening. I looked over and said, I'm not slim enough. On TV, a fitness blogger bent forward to stretch. I copied the movement. Adrian's throat shifted as he swallowed. His voice had gone low. You're already thin enough. I just want abs, I said between breaths. His next question came quickly, almost sharply. Who told you that? I froze. Something about the stillness in the room made me hesitate. We'd never had quiet like this before, both in the same space, doing separate things, talking like a normal couple. And in that strange calm, I didn't want to break whatever thread was holding us together. He must have sensed my pause, because his tone softened. Forget it. Doesn't matter. But later, when I went to the bedroom, I saw his phone on the table. The most recent message was to that so-called lover. Beast. I want you dead. Almost as if on cue, the TV in the living room stopped showing workout videos. Every other channel worked, just not fitness. The housekeeper returned, apologetic. And every morning at exactly 8, the vacuum roared to life, making it impossible to work out in the living room either. So I started baking. The housekeeper asked why. I smiled. There's a certain joy in watching someone enjoy something you made with your own hands. Adrian stood silently at the foot of the stairs, his expression unreadable, eyes following every move I made in the kitchen. I ate the burnt cookies myself. 2 perfectly baked ones went to the housekeeper. The rest I tied neatly in a paper bag with a ribbon. If this didn't look like proof I had someone else, someone I cared about, what would? Later, as I changed clothes, I told him, Mr. Shaw, I have a group meeting. Adrian was by the kitchen island, staring at the empty baking tray. He glanced up at me, one brow lifting, his expression cold but tinged with something almost playful. All right, go. Then he turned away. When I walked over to grab the bag, I stopped dead. Every last cookie was gone. Even the burnt ones I hadn't finished. I was still seething. Those cookies had been meant for my advisor and classmates, and now they were gone. Had Adrian thrown them out? Anger bubbled up until my hands shook. Behind his back, I fired off a string of texts. Your wife says you've been irritable lately. She's afraid of you. She cries every night because she misses me. Why haven't you filed for divorce yet? What's the point in dragging this out? Is your pride worth more than her happiness? Your marriage was nothing but a deal. You got what you wanted. Why won't you let her go? His reply came fast. She cried. I blinked at the screen, thrown off. That's what he focused on? Not the divorce? Another message appeared. You live in Ningen District 2? A chill swept down my spine. Before I could type a lie, a third text popped up. I'm close to finding you, you worthless mutt. Panic flared. This couldn't go on. It was time to force the end. I slid a divorce agreement I had drafted into my handbag, slipped into my shortest skirt, put on makeup and perfume, and headed for the door. I'm going out, I told him. He didn't answer right away. It was the first time in days we'd looked at each other properly. The living room light cut sharp shadows across his pale face. His eyes were red-rimmed, his expression worn yet burning. Where? He asked at last. A friend's place. Which friend? His eyes dipped to the hem of my skirt, his tone darker now. You don't know them. He gave a dry, humorless laugh. Tell me and I'll know them. Mr. Shaw, we agreed not to interfere in each other's personal lives. He rose to his full height, the sweater he wore stretching across his chest. Tossing his glasses aside, he stepped toward me. Go ahead, Arya. Let's see how many more knives you can twist. I pushed on. I don't owe you anything. My sister's back. If she knew how you treated me, she'd hate you even more. Something in his expression shifted, but I didn't stop. I'm leaving. And I'm divorcing you. I threw the papers on the floor and bolted for the door. My pulse roared in my ears. I yanked it halfway open. Bang! It slammed shut, his hand over mine. You dare? His tone was calm, but his eyes were too dark, his breath unsteady, as if something inside was splintering. Wake up, Mr. Shaw. I'm seeing someone else. I snapped. His jaw locked, the veins in his temple standing out. He caged me in against the door, his hands unyielding. Heat radiated from him like a live wire, curling around my body. I wanted to spit more venom, but my voice wavered. You don't even love me, I whispered. Please, Adrian. Let's divorce. Someone else will love me. He went rigid. His mouth opened, but no words came. Then, without warning, he lifted me off my feet. What are you doing? I struggled, kicking. He didn't answer, just kissed me hard, grinding his shoe into the divorce papers. Divorce? Over my dead body. I pushed at him, furious. What gives you the right? You're being insane. Because we're married, he said simply. And I'm not letting go. Not ever. I met his eyes and fired the last shot. I love him. I slept with him. The air between us went still. The last pretense had been torn away. But instead of rage, there was only silence. Silence filled the air. Adrian didn't explode or argue. Instead, he quietly began removing his clothes, his movements deliberate. The faint marks on his lips from our earlier struggle stood out against his pale skin, making him look both fragile and intimidating. His physique was almost unreal, sharper and more defined than the fitness photo I'd once sent him as a joke. He met my eyes and said in an even tone, "So what?" I blinked, caught off guard. "What do you mean?" "You're young," he replied, his voice flat. "It's natural to be curious, to experiment." My mouth went dry. I couldn't read him at all. Without hesitation, he stripped away the last barrier between us. My gaze betrayed me, sliding downward before I could stop it, and in that instant, I understood why those 2 photos I had sent hadn't rattled him in the slightest. He reached for my wrist, leaning in close. The faint trace of his cologne, or maybe something deeper, uniquely his, filled my senses. For the first time, without the armor of a suit, I saw him as more than an imposing figure. He was a man in every dangerous, consuming sense of the word. "You were just hungry," he murmured. "Running off for something cheap is childish." His hand tilted my chin upward, and his mouth came down hard on mine. The kiss was deep and punishing, stealing my breath and scattering my thoughts. When his palm slid to the back of my neck, his grip wasn't enough to hurt, but it reminded me he could take full control if he wanted to. His voice dropped lower. "But leaving me for trash? That I won't accept. You've made a mistake, and mistakes have consequences." A shiver ran through me. My voice trembled. "And how will you punish me?" His fingers traced the small cluster of moles on my skin, lingering there. I swallowed, my resistance weakening. He didn't answer until I asked again, my eyes stinging with frustrated tears. Only then did he sigh, like a man deciding to grant mercy. His lips met mine again, heat building. Ding-dong. 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 The doorbell's chime sliced through the moment. Adrian ignored it. Then came a knock at the bedroom door. "Arya? It's Natalie. Mr. Shaw, are you inside too?" Adrian's jaw tightened. He shut his eyes, drawing in a deep breath, his expression darkening. I couldn't tell if it was annoyance or anticipation. I let out a bitter laugh in my head. Whatever fire he had for me, it seemed to pale in comparison to the hold my sister had on him. "Arya?" Natalie knocked harder. The doorknob rattled. The lock had been broken for weeks. Adrian spoke sharply, tossing a blanket over me. "Don't come in. Wait in the living room." "All right," she answered from outside. Minutes later, I was fully dressed, sitting stiffly on the couch beside my sister. Guilt gnawed at my chest for reasons I couldn't explain. Adrian sat apart, his long fingers drumming on the chair's armrest, his breath slow and deliberate, as if he were forcing himself to stay composed. "Natalie, why are you here?" I asked. She hesitated, coughing as if searching for the right words. "Actually, I didn't go on that anniversary trip with my husband. I traveled alone to think things over." I frowned. "What?" Her voice wavered. "If you've got something to say, just say it." Adrian cut in, his hand curling into a fist. Natalie looked at me, then at him. "I got divorced." The meaning hit me instantly. She wasn't just here to talk. Natalie pulled out the crumpled divorce papers from earlier and set them on the table. I wasn't sure before, but when I saw this, I decided. "Mr. Shaw, when I ran away years ago, I wronged you. I'll marry you now as repayment. Just let my sister go." My pulse stumbled. If this were any other moment, this would be the perfect solution. Adrian could finally have the woman he truly wanted, and I'd be free. But the sight of them, my husband and my sister, looking at each other in that heavy silence twisted something deep inside me. I kept my gaze down, hiding my face. Finally, Adrian spoke. "What?" Natalie's voice was steady. "Please, divorce my sister." His reply was immediate. "No." I looked up, stunned. Adrian's tone was flat, almost cold. "Passing sisters between me? People would laugh themselves sick." Natalie shook her head. "I've taken foreign citizenship. My name still carries my ex-husband's surname. As long as I stay out of sight, no one will connect us." He said nothing, just stared. Natalie pushed the papers closer to him. "Sign them. I'll repay you for everything. Just stop making her suffer." Adrian gave a humorless laugh, leaning forward. "Suffer?" Something in him had snapped. His smile was sharp, reckless, and dangerous. Adrian's eyes turned icy as he fixed his gaze on Natalie. "How exactly have I wronged her?" His voice was sharp. "Why don't you ask your precious sister, who's been hurting who?" His jaw tightened, muscles shifting under the strain.
Why?
Why does everyone keep trying to split us up? Yes, I pushed her into marrying me. I accept the consequences for that. I'll take whatever she throws at me. But you, who gave you the right to? He stopped himself mid-sentence, perhaps remembering that Natalie was my sister, clinging to a shred of restraint. Natalie froze. So did I. It was as if Adrian realized, too late, that he had said more than he should. Panic flickered in his eyes before he smoothed it over. Forced to marry him? That wasn't how I remembered it. 3 years ago, it had been an arrangement between the Zhao and Shaw families. My father had seen potential in Adrian, an ambitious young businessman, and wanted to pair him with Natalie despite his modest background. But Natalie had run away, chasing a foreign violinist she barely knew. I was still a university student when my father placed me in her place, marrying me to Adrian at 20, the youngest legal age. So what was he talking about? Natalie murmured, almost to herself. So, Ian wasn't chance, you planted him. Adrian shot to his feet, tension rolling off him. Stop. Natalie rose too, eyes blazing. So, you never wanted me at all. You dangled the perfect man in front of me just to get me out of the way. I don't owe you a thing, none of us do. Enough. His voice cracked, trembling between anger and something weaker. Natalie's next words cut like a blade. And my sister owes you nothing. Adrian looked winded, like the air had been knocked out of him. His hands clenched into fists. She's not leaving. His voice shook, his eyes bloodshot, but he wouldn't look at me. I won't allow it. Natalie stepped in front of me, bristling like she'd charge him if needed. You think money gives you the right to trap someone? My sister is not your property. She's a person. She jabbed a finger toward him. Run your games in your company all you want, but you don't get to bully a college girl.
I wanted to say it wasn't like that.
He hadn't hurt me, not physically. He'd just been distant, untouchable, unloving. And somehow, that was worse. Natalie's voice rose. You don't even notice the broken bedroom door. You stomped on the divorce papers she prepared. Have you ever treated her like a wife? She had to ask me to buy her a prepaid phone card. Do you realize how humiliating that is for her? Cold sweat prickled my skin. My stomach dropped. Adrian's expression hardened instantly. What did you say? His voice was flat, dangerous. Natalie blinked, confused.
What?
You didn't know? She's so careful not to ask you for anything. The only thing she wanted was a phone card. So pitiful it made me sick to hear it. I couldn't move. Couldn't even glance at him. The silence that followed was suffocating. Natalie shifted uncomfortably. Wait, why is that such a big deal? Adrian laughed, but it was sharp and cold. It's nothing. Then, in a softer tone, you're right, Natalie. I'm sorry. The sudden politeness made her falter. Don't try to act sincere. I said I'm sorry. His voice was calm now, almost too calm. But I need a private word with my wife. He ushered her out, shutting the door behind her. The click of the lock felt like a warning. I bolted for the stairs, heading toward his bedroom, the only one with a working lock. I wasn't thinking about the bed inside, only about having a door I could close between us. But Adrian was quicker. His hand slammed the door before I could shut it. He stepped inside, closed it behind him, and locked it. Pulling off his sweater, he advanced until the back of my legs hit the bed. Tears pricked my eyes. I was wrong. His gaze didn't soften. Too late. I won't ask for a divorce anymore, I blurted. After everything that just happened, it was obvious to anyone paying attention that he didn't see me as a stand-in. If anything, maybe he actually liked me. Just a little. Maybe I could wait a while longer. Watch him. See where this went before deciding if I'd really go through with the divorce. Adrian's gaze darkened. Don't even think about it. He pushed me back onto the bed, his eyes never leaving mine. His lips brushed along my neck like some restless creature claiming its territory. Kiss marks, huh? Calling me dude? Asking him to let your wife go to you? You've got some nerve, dude. Then he kissed me. It was fierce, heated, fueled by a jealousy he'd kept buried for far too long, with a trace of something almost wounded beneath it. Adrian wasn't the type to show his feelings. Even when emotions got the better of him, he'd smother them before they could surface. But this time, he kissed me endlessly, as if pulling something vital from me. And when he finally broke away, his voice was low and uncertain. I never didn't love you. I just didn't dare say it. I was scared you'd say you didn't love me back. He pulled me into a tight embrace. I hesitated for a moment, then slowly wrapped my arms around him too. After a while, he murmured, almost shyly, Arya, can you say it again? That honey, hug me thing? I groaned. Go away. Naturally, he ignored me. Instead, he leaned closer. And closer still. Until there was no space left between us. No doorbell interrupted this time. One by one, he replaced every fake kiss mark I'd made with real ones. That's when it hit me. He'd been jealous. Possessively, irrationally jealous. He must have stared at that photo again and again until it burned into his memory. The curtains swayed gently with the breeze. The sun went down and rose again. In the soft light of morning, I opened my eyes and spotted something tucked away in the corner of his desk. The bag of cookies I thought I'd lost.